Hello there. This is SWGOH Yeti coming from the SWGOH Yeti Twitch channel you may have possibly seen or heard of. You are listening currently to the Escape Pod cast. This show is recorded in front of a live Twitch audience.
One is a Grand Arena specialist from the UK. The other is a territory battle tactician from the US. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. But with both having decades of hosting experience under their belt, the one thing we are sure of is you will be entertained. This is the Escape Pod Cast, a weekly look into the mobile game Star Wars, Galaxy of Heroes. Live from the Nerdy Network studios of Yavin 4, here are your hosts, Neil Andrew Eyre and Paul Anthony.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Pod Cast.
Paul, I don't think you look so good.
You're right, noob. I am not feeling too well. After 2.5 years, I caught it.
Oh, no. Do you think you can host the show?
Negative, buddy. I will be producing in the background, though.
So, who's gonna host the show with Neil?
You.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I do not think that is possible. Or, you see, I am a droid.
Hush, noob. I loaded Bob into this flash drive, and I'm going to install him into your temporary memory.
You are what?
And then I'm going to activate your hollow emitters to make you look like a full-bodied meatbag for the Twitch viewers.
I don't know about this.
You'll then co-host with Neil and talk about the Grand Inquisitor, Conquest, the return of GAC, and more.
But
I heard Neil has gotten Fatal, also known as the Playbook, to be the guest as well, and when the two of them get together, they do have a good discussion.
there is no way for this to end up permanent, right?
No, I'm just so exhausted and having to quarantine exclusively inside Vault 37 Studios for this entire weekend that I need to do this.
Fine. You will still have the latest episode of Dickie and the Noob, right?
Yeah, and Patreon's choice on the bridge.
All that and breaking news as and if it happens?
That's right, noob. Right here on the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast News.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Escape Pod Cast. I'm your host, the Nev. And normally I say, and as always, I'm joined by my hetero life partner, but we have the magic of TV, special effects and stuff like that, you know. So we've got Bob in new, but yeah. So but basically we've, as if by magic, we've got Bob in my in the co-pilot seat. Yes, everybody say hello to Bob. Bob, say hello to everyone.
What's going on, everybody? It's an honor to be here in the co-host seat. I'm finally getting a little bit farther to my domination of the Escape Podcast, one step at a time. Ned, how you doing, my friend? How's your week going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very, very good. Everything's fine. Makes me a little bit nervous now, seeing the fact that, you know, Paul is displaying himself literally in an escape pod. So he is actually in the escape pod. So just watch where your hands go, Bob. Yeah. no button pushing. No button pushing.
So what's been going on, man? How was your Grand Arena week?
It's been a busy week. We have had a busy week. A couple of things have happened. Obviously, we have the start of the new version 3.1, GAC 3.1, which isn't so much as a massive change from the all they did, which is why it's not GAC 4.0, it's just a 3.1, is because all they've done is taken a week off. They've tweaked the rewards and they've taken a week off. So a season, whereas used to last 12 rounds, now only lasts 9 rounds. And then they reset it and start again. But it doesn't really matter. Now it's a progressive ladder. So there's that to contend with. And then there is also the fact that because datacons were recently introduced, this is the first GAC where they've been getting used. And obviously that's going to throw up some interesting thoughts and some interesting speculating, because a lot of people might not have necessarily made it this far, and they may, the bathwater would have gone out with the baby as of such. People quitting before GAC hits, but now's the big test.
Yeah.
All those people that were like, I don't like them, I hate them, I loathe them, I can't stand them, but it would be unfair for me to just say that, it's just, it's destroyed the game without first having experienced it. You can't say you don't like a movie or a book or a TV show if you haven't watched or read them,
Exactly.
And exactly the same with datacons, unless you've experienced GAC, or if you're a Territory Wars aficionado, Territory Wars with datacons, you don't know how it's going to affect the gameplay until you've experienced it, and you either love it or you hate it, or you can just deal with it. So we'll see how many people take to them. I don't think they'll be taken to like Relics was, because Relics was, if you do this, you will get a permanent upgrade. Zetas, nom-noms, if you get these and use them in the game, they will last permanently, and Datacrons offers none of that security. So if you do this and spend this, you will get this buff, but it's only for 3 months.
Yeah,
So,
that's the catch, man. That's the catch that kind of got me too. So this past week, did you run into any unique ones like your opponents had, or anything worth mentioning?
Well, I mean, obviously, part of my beta test of Datacrons is 3 separate accounts. So I'm in Kyber 3, Kyber 4, and Erodium 3. So I've got 3 accounts. One I'm doing no Datacons on. Then my main account, I'm doing what I get for free. That's right. It. I'm not like spending crystals or anything else on them. I'm just getting them as they come. And then the 3rd account, I'm doing as much as I possibly can to Datacons as possible, and seeing how it feels on each of them. Now, on the lower one, the first one, the Erodium account, it was just 2 people against each other, no Datacons.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have used them on me. It's possible, because we both full cleared, but I lost the match. But I didn't lose because of Datacons, unless he has some Datacons to use on offense.
Right.
It was not possible for his defense to have any Datacons on, because there's always something under Relic 3.
That's my fault. I can't put it on defense because I'll have them all Relic 3 or higher, but that one guy that's like Relic 1 or
a lot of mid game players have, maybe their top 5 squads fully relicked all above 3. But as you start going into 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 and 16 to 20, the number of relics per squad, it shrinks. It goes down.
I wasn't even going to use mine, so
so I saw so that was the deal with that one. Now the deal with my main account, my middle one, was I didn't put any Datacons down on defense for that very reason. My usual defenses are X, Y, and Z. So I put a Datacron on my Mon Mothma. But it's only it was a weak ass low one.
Right.
And it got a hold.
Okay.
I mean, my Ident Versio also got a hold against the CLS, which was freaking awesome.
So
I got lucky. I got lucky on that account, actually. I was competing against another content creator, Nightwall, and he'd already done his stream against me. So after I played my offense and we did a little backwards and forwards on Fleet Arena, he played the video back, and I was able to watch my 2 teams that defended themselves.
And that's cool to see, huh?
So he's actually going to send me the video, because I'm planning on going over every single video and seeing what the weakness is in my team so that I can bolster it.
And that's rare. You don't get to see that very often. And I got to do that with Zareth. Zareth took on my alt account one time, and it was really cool to get to see that.
You get to see what your defense does. Yeah, exactly. There's Night War. He's in chat at the moment.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So Night War's gonna get the video footage for us, and then I'm gonna analyze it and use the data to figure out how I can make teams better. If I'm seeing teams that are down that are just getting like swiped easily S side in 60 seconds, it'll be like, clearly this isn't doing what it needs, because I'll count how many banners each team strips, where it could strip more, how it could last longer.
Right. So you mentioned item
that one. So that's the middle one. The top one, that one I went hard on datacons. So did my opponent. My opponent put down a Relic 9 Vader with a level 9 datacon, and then surrounded it with trash because there was nothing I had to get past it. So I took out the top 2 territories because I knew I could take them out, and then I just hoped that my defense could do something interesting. They took out 3 territories, and I just wasn't able to get I dispatched everything around Vader, gone. Didn't matter what I used, couldn't get through the Vader with the datacon. So.
Dude, there's some insane ones. There's some people in Discord mentioning like every time somebody uses an ability, you stun somebody, or every time you crit chance on somebody or hit a crit on somebody, they stun them. I'm like, oh man, like it's a little scary.
Here's the thing. This this set of datacons that we're rocking at the moment, that we're still only in the first gen.
Yeah. Yep,
these are the alphas. They haven't even released the second set yet. So if I'm struggling to get past one datacon, the alphas, right? And then the second set comes out, the betas, it's like it's going to get to the point where it's like, right, they've got datacons on 2 GLs there, and I just don't know. It's going to make it nuts, I think. So
it'll be interesting in 3 months.
We're only 1 round in at the moment. So we're 1 round in. There's no way to judge it just yet.
So speaking of that, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the 3 weeks and then 1 off? Don't you think it's not enough? Like, don't you feel like we should have more time? More than 3 weeks?
I'm actually quite happy with this. Okay. I think I think we make out on it a little bit more,
right?
Just a tad more reward wise when it comes to crystals and stuff like that. But having played back when it was Grand Arena, it was just done from week to week to week to week to week.
Yep.
That's just what it was. And then Grand Arena Championship made it then monthly. And if you wanted your end of month rewards, you had to play hard and you had to play tough. If you wanted those 12 and O's and those maximum rewards month after month after month, you had to work hard for it.
Yeah.
But that was back then, and now we've got relics, omicrons, and datacrons. So you have to work a lot harder in order to get those end of season rewards.
Yeah.
And the problem with 4 weeks long is commentating and watching. There is a massive fatigue in the middle. Everyone gets excited with the first week. Everybody's excited with the 4th week, and then the fatigue is in the middle.
That makes sense.
By shortening it by 1 week, I think it might remove that fatigue element, because people are like, well, I only have to push hard for 9 rounds now in order to get top tier rewards. I don't have to push for 12, Right. So I think it's there. I think I just think that people we'll find out. I mean, I'm putting that out there now. We'll see what people in chat have to say about it. But I just think it'll. Because the week, it's still a break of a week, which is good. Yeah. Everybody needs that break. I just think that shortening the middle from 2 to 1 is. I think it's a relatively good idea. I do genuinely think it's a relatively good idea.
These last 2 weeks though has kind of sucked because I was missing it. Maybe 1 week, but like. You notice how just kind of the flaws kind of show whenever there's no Grand Arena. There's not much to do, You got to find more stuff to do or something like that because it was just I don't know. I just missed it, so I'm glad it's back and I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that so what have you been seeing with your GAC? Have you seen anything different with your GAC?
Not yet. So I do the same thing that you do. I have only 2 accounts, but my alt is actually more GP than my main account is. And so, and I have a bunch of hoarded resources. So I'm spending all my, I have like 60K shard currency. So I'm spending all my shard currency on those, just the Datacron, I don't know what you call them, all those, in the Datacron store, you have all those resources that are for upgrading.
The store, the Datacon store.
Yeah. Right. And so I'm spending all that, getting those on my alt. Now, on my main account, I'm not putting anything into it that's not free to play. Once I beat Conquest, I'll probably spend the rest of my energy farming those Datacron nodes. That's about it for me. But as far as experience of going up against Datacrons, in Territory Wars, I went up against a couple, and it wasn't anything too crazy. But mind you, it wasn't a maxed out Datacron. It was like a level 3 Datacron. So at level 3, it doesn't seem to be that bad. So I can't really say what it's going to do when I face what's the highest level? Is it 8?
9.
9? So
9. I've only faced 1 9, but that was on my 7.8 million GP account.
I mean, Datacron wise in Grand Arena, for the first time ever, I've decided just to put my Executor on defense. I'm done mirror matching.
Well
man.
done. One of us.
I'm done mirror matching. I'm 98% of the time I lose. So what I do,
half the excitement is in beating an Executor without mirroring an Executor. That's half the fun.
Yes, I agree. And so I'm taking that.
I did it with 3 ships. This last one.
Really?
It was. Oh yeah. I threw first order in as a burner fleet. Then I sent in my Imperial. I sent in my Empire with Thrawn. The burner team worked on the specials and stuff like that, which enabled Thrawn to come out. Thrawn got his ultimate off on Bounty Hunter and took out somebody else, which was kind of like a bonus. Obviously, then the rest of the team just got beat. There was only 2 ships left, sent in a cleanup crew. Boom.
Okay, I'm gonna have.
So there's a lot more satisfaction. There's a lot more satisfaction in beating an Executor with other stuff in your roster.
I agree.
You just got to have enough.
And I slapped it on defense for the first time, and I just put 2 crap. I don't even care what it is, and saved everything for offense. And hopefully that goes better for me because I lost my Grand Arena because of that.
That's the kicker. I think that therein lies the thing with Datacons, right? I don't know how many Datacons my opponent used against me in offense. Because think about it, if the majority of the teams that you're keeping for offense are all relicked above 3, well, then you've got a bunch of, you've probably got a bunch of level 1, maybe level 2 Datacons just sat doing nothing. So you pick your team that you're going for. So say you see gas and you're taking CLS in, you might be sitting on a level 2 Datacon that gives like extra tenacity and extra crit damage. And you can slap that on your team before going up against gas. And you're like, it just, so I don't know how many people I know that my opponent, Night War, didn't use any of his Datacons during his offense. But the thing is, I'm planning on doing that. You see, I have a lot of teams that have either got 3 or 4 Relic 3s and above in them. And I'm seriously contemplating just using a Datacron and an undersized team just to get the down. Because if you just put 3, as long as the character you put in the box are Relic 3 and above, the Datacon will work. As soon as you put something in underneath it, the Datacon doesn't work. So I've got like 3 loose bounty hunters all over Relic 3. Fancy using them. I've got a GG team with 1. So I've got like 4 level 1, level 2 Datacrons that I can't put on something on defense because nothing's all Relic 3. So I'm going to play around with that this next round. I'm going to play around with my loose Datacons and throw them on an undersized team. I want to see how an undersized team performs with a Datacon attached to it. So yeah.
Same. And something tells me that General Grievous is going to do some broken things for some reason with the Datacron. It just seems like a crazy team that can do some awesome stuff already. And you slap a really good Datacron on there.
if you can do one, if you can find one that boosts like starting health, then that would just boost his offense. So I mean,
and that's pretty basic.
I haven't seen anything crazy with datacrons in GAC other than Rangers. Ranger has a couple of really good datacrons for his Vader and for his Ray, which look impressive. But I don't know, just watching it and seeing it, and thinking to myself, putting this one thing on this team makes this team impossible to beat from an opponent's point of view. And you're making something impossible to a point, even before the time has started and the match. It's like it's not good. It's not good, and I'm really concerned, because if it starts causing people problems immediately, imagine what it's going to be like for them in just over 3 months' time, when there are 3 cycles all coming to the end of their 90-day cycle.
Yeah,
it's just so
it's going to be interesting, man.
And there are going to be so many, and like I said, I think it's going to make 3v3 a lot more interesting. Not so much 5v5. The reason why I say it's going to make 3v3 a lot more interesting is because in 3v3 you can get away with a lot of undersized.
Yeah, and you'll be able to use one of your datacrons, right?
But exactly, you could look at 2 characters and think, well, those 2 on their own, no, but with this level 2 datacron, yes. It's
I didn't even think about 3v3, man. Oh, it's already annoying with Omicrons and everything else. Oh man, datacrons. I'm just trying to think of a team that would just be. Think of JMK, man. 5v5 JMK is scary. You put that JMK
with I mean, I don't know how. I mean that the datacron I threw on the CL, it's little things like that. That's what I'm curious.
Those under
I didn't
boosting and under done squad.
Yeah, and for some reason I didn't apply them in round 1. I think it was like, oh wow, 3v3's back, best do it. I mean, but for me, I was caught a little bit off guard because I found out that it was Night War, so I went on his stream and ended up just off the cuff streaming my GAC through Discord on Night War's channel, which was very interesting.
That's cool,
which was very interesting.
We'll have to go back and watch both your guys' stream. I didn't realize you were doing that.
Thing is, I've got 7 datacons. I've got 7 datacons, and I think I only used 2 of them. And I'm thinking to myself, that at level 1 it gives a bonus. Just put it on a team. It doesn't matter. If it's just make sure that all of the characters that you're putting on the squad are over Relic 3. It doesn't really,
Yeah, just make sure you're using them if you got them. Because
I mean, if you come up against 3 trash teams in the back that are like gear 8s and 9s, any old Relic 3 with a datacon attached to it's probably going to do the business.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man, going forward. I'm not sure. I think I forgot to even use mine because I couldn't put it on defense, and I just forgot to even put it on
I think everybody, I'm relatively certain everyone forgot that they had the ability to throw a datacon on a squad while they were on offense.
Yeah.
And your best squads are always your high relic. So it doesn't matter. You just go into data. Oh, that one. Oh, that's nice. 20% plus health. Damn. Yeah, I'll take that. I wasn't going to take it before, but now I've got it. So yeah, I think a lot of people forgot. I didn't use, I forgot to use them on my main and my main alt. I don't have any on the baby account because that's the test account to not have any data cons on.
Okay, so I have a question about how they work actually. So the first 3 levels, you level up twice and you get stats, right? The first 2 levels are stats. And the 3rd level is light side or dark side, correct? Yeah,
it's a fact. Yeah. It's one of the generic factions, yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. So you don't level it up to 3. You've only leveled it twice. As long as there are relic 3, can you just put it on light side or dark side? Okay, so once you
exactly once you take something to just to level 2, you can put it on any side. You take it to 3, and it will set. And
So
you would
do-
have
do
to
you feel
spend.
like-
You would have to spend to re-roll it.
So I realize in some way, in the big picture, the more you upgrade it, the better. But let's say you roll Inquisitors and Dark Side and all that. Well, you don't have you don't have Inquisitors. So would it have made more sense to not even roll up that high? You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I have no intention of ever taking a datacon to level 9.
Right.
Just like I have no intention of taking any of my characters, right, to relic 9. I'll never, unless there's a character that comes in, there's a requirement that requires 9. Like if something required me to take Piet to 9, I'd do that because he's already at 8.
Yeah.
But unless I'm required in game to take something to relic 9, I will never take anything to relic 9. Just as I will never take a datacon to level 9. The most I would take it to is probably a 6. But to be honest with you, I think that the majority of my datacons will be at level 2s and 3s.
Before I forget, another question is: do you think it takes too much of those resources to level one up? I think I only have one.
It takes this is a ridiculous amount. Yeah. In fact, I think this is something that we can get into on the other side of the break. Okay. Coming up on the Escape podcast, we'll finish our conversation. We'll finish our conversation regarding GAC, but then we'll move on to the Grand Inquisitor, and that will be all after these short messages.
HotBot in HotUtils is one of the most comprehensive tools for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
With integration into the super useful mod tool Grand Ivory, HotUtils can help you tackle some of the most difficult aspects of the game.
Not sure how to mod your roster for a certain game mode?
Use one of the many filters that automatically assigns the right mods to the right character in accordance with your guild needs.
Now with the digital features that can assist you and your guild officers in territory battles and territory wars, HotUtils is an amazing value.
And don't forget the useful tools for yourself in Grand Arena, like the in-depth and customizable compare feature.
Got multiple accounts like Neil, but not the time to remod them all?
With this one-stop utility, you can switch between your alts and never miss a mod upgrade or a mod switch before locking into GAC or Territory Wars.
Starting at just $5 a month, you don't want to miss out on these great tools.
HotUtils is the new official remodding service for the Escape Pod cast.
Visit HotUtils.com to learn more. That's HotUtils.com. And go ahead and spice up your Galaxy of Heroes experience.
Podawans, be sure to support the shows brought to you on the Escape Podcast Twitch and YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you can support us and get a little extra for yourself. With tiered rewards, including after-show access, inclusion in the GA Center leaderboards, behind-the-scenes access, and much more. There is something for everyone on our Discord server. Head on over to Patreon, that is patreon.com/The Escape Pod, and sign up today. Thank you for supporting and listening to the Escape Podcast.
We want you. Join the GAC Chain Gang today. This is the commander of the 506 Procrastination Battalion and the leader of the GAC Chain Gang. I am sending out a call to action for any SWGOH content creators on Twitch who would be willing to broadcast their GAC attack rounds. We are an amazing group of content creators who are dedicated on streaming the Grand Arena Championship attack rounds on Twitch. The idea is to provide continuous content back to back from one streamer to the next and allow the viewers to enjoy more SWGOH content as well as enjoy the variety of streamers that are currently present in the group. If you are interested in joining the Chain Gang, please reach out to myself on Discord at AndyBeads, #7465, or you can send us a message on our Twitter page at ChainGAC. Join us today. We have your back.
You're listening to the Escape Pod Cast.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll pick up where we left off. We were talking about the Datacrons in GAC and how, yes, I think that most people will take them to, most people will have level 1s and 2s. But it also doesn't make sense to have too many Datacrons. I mean, how many Datacrons have you got at the moment?
I haven't really paid much attention. I'd say probably 5, about. Not
about 5.
Yeah.
Right. Well, here's the thing, right? I think I've got about 7. I'm relatively certain I've got 7. Now, most of them are 1s, and I've started, on 2s and a couple of 3s. So, I have 3 3s, 2 2s, and the rest are all 1s. So actually, it might have more than 7. It might be close to 10. It might be close to 10.
So how are you getting so many?
Well, I mean, I had loads of shard shop currency, and I had loads of ally points, and obviously we've had a couple of refreshes in the week because it runs off the weekly shipment clock. So it resets. So I've made sure I've had enough bits and pieces, and I threw some crystals in there as well because I figured, I'm going to do the bare minimum. Like I said, so I'm just going to do the bare minimum, which is why I've got so many 1s and, only a couple of 3s. But most people are sat on 6s to 9s by now, and there I am on 3s. So kind of different there. But the thing is, I've come to the realization, and it came to me quite quickly, that I don't have 10 teams that I can put Datacrons on.
Right.
So what's the point in having any more than 10? So I'm looking at my squads, and I have 6 squads. 6 solid squads, and 2 to 3 average squads that I could only actually put a Datacron on, because in the past 2 weeks I've taken all my 1s and 2s to 3 so that I can use them. Right. So I'm basically, I mean, I will scrap my 2 weakest. I will, because you can get them and then take them apart, and you'll get something back for that, 50% apparently.
Did you mess around with the reroll?
No, I haven't messed with I haven't messed with any rerolls yet.
It's kind of cool. It gives you like 3. I tried it. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just tried it once, and I think it was like the light and dark side one, and I re-rolled it, and it didn't give me a chance to get light side. It just gave me 3 choices of it had to stay dark side, but I had 3 different choices of what the stat was.
You see, now that is good to know.
It's kind of cool, actually.
That is good. Well, you see, you need to look at your roster, right? And you need to think, where is your roster going to be in 30 days, maybe 60 days, depending on what Datacrons you get. Because if you've just got 10 teams that you can put them on, then there's no point working on, a batch of 11 or 12. You should every time a new set comes out, you should be looking at your bottom one and going, right, okay, I'm just not going to use it. And if it's there, I might spend resources on it, because you've got to remember that the currency for those sets are only going to be available, for 90 days.
Yeah.
So you need to use. There's no point hoarding it. As Fatal told me once, you've got to spend it. It makes no sense whatsoever.
And that's
you may as well spend it.
That's against everything we've learned in this game for 6 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be towards the higher end and then the lower end, and the lower. So by the time you get to like the end of the first 90 days on this set 1, you'll have stuff from set 1, stuff from set 2, and stuff from set 3. You'll have less of the set 2 and even lesser of the set 3. So if you've got like 10 decent ones, you might have 5 of the set 1s that you've only worked on, because it's like they were the only ones worth working on, and then you'll have like maybe 3 decent set 3s that you're working on, and maybe 1 or 2 at the bottom. So it's going to depend. I mean, there are a lot of variables with Datacrons that can, potentially help and potentially hinder new strategies and new tactics in GAC. Like I said, specifically with
specifically with 3v3. Because a team, any team on defense, undataconned, could be beaten with, a two-man, a weak-ass two-man team, but with a decent datacon on it, So strategy and stuff like 3v3, it's going to be easier to apply datacons because you only need 3 people on a squad.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder for lower and mediocre players, when you think about it, to apply datacons on defense. It's going to be very, very easy in 3v3.
I can't wait.
First 3v3 is good. This first thing, it's going to be crazy. People are going to look at entire front walls of teams with datacons on, because I have teams that I can't put datacons on in 5v5 because 1 or 2 of them aren't Relic 3, but at least 3 in every single squad I've got is. So yeah, for me, I'm going to be able to just dump them all down. But you'll also be able to have more. You'll also have more for defense, but you'll have more for offense as well.
And so it's looking like we're going to get 3v3 every other season, isn't it? It looks like it's going to be 5v5, which kind of sucks.
It's going to be a return to the prior to version 3. We did have a version 2.0, right?
Yeah.
You got to remember, all that was when we got version 2.0 was they decided, yes, that 4.5 million upwards will split that down into divisions. So they split that down into divisions and then rebooted GAC. But with that rebooting, they stopped doing 3v3. They just did 5v5. And then a very short period of time later, literally within 5 months, we got version 3.0, which was, here come the crystals. And they brought all of the crystals in, changed it to matchmaking, and then continued for 3 months, with 5v, as 5v5.
Yeah.
So we basically went 9 months without any 3v3, and then they brought it back. So it's not going to change. It will return to the GAC version 1 cadence, which is 3v3, 5v5, 3v3, 5v, and it's just going to go like that from now on.
And I guess once you start getting used to it, it'll become easier for you, and it won't be so. Because how many months did you just say? It was 9 months since we had.
We went 9 months between 3v3s. Yeah.
So of course you're gonna be rusty. Like I loved 3v3 9 months ago, but when it came back, I now despise it.
Oh God! I mean, I absolutely loved 3v3 on the old system. It's not that I hate it. It's that it's boring.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in a round and I'm against an opponent and I see a team on defense that is physically impossible for me to get past, it's like, well, this is a boring round because there's nothing I can do. Where's my enjoyment? There's just nothing there.
Yeah,
it's like, so I can practice against these teams that I can beat. It's like, well, I still can't win. Yeah. So it just, so it kind of like the 3v3 returning took the wind out of my sails because I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was boring. I went 0-3, 3-0, 0-3, and then 2-1. So I still finished 7-5, but 2 weeks there was just nothing I could do. Absolutely not. And the problem I will contend with is if anybody checks my history and looks back over my last 3v3, they'll see that every single one of those 6 out of those 7 losses were because of a JMK Cat 3v3 on every single occasion.
You used to tell me about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do.
I mean, the next 3v3 will be different because I will have C and I will have Starkiller. So they can look at my history and be like, I'm going to do this. And then I can go, the last time I was in 3v3, I didn't have an extra GL or Starkiller.
Oh, that's a huge progress for sure.
Yeah, in 3v3, yeah. So I pretty much enjoyed that. Anyway, the reason we went completely off on the tangent, So back on point. The data cons themselves, obviously at 3 between 3 and 6 gives some stats, and then obviously the big one is the faction, isn't it? The actual factions and the characters that are involved, and that's the ones that are at level 6. And it does seem like they have cherry-picked which ones they want in this first set. Like, you know, you've got Galactic Republic, and you've got Jedi, and you've got Separatists, and you've got Inquisitors.
Which I didn't.
Why,
mind.
oh, why
like
do you think we've got Inquisitors?
I don't know. Tell me, man.
Could it be because they dropped a new character?
Oh, that's right.
One day after releasing its kit into the game.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. A not so obvious segue onto the Grand Inquisitor. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe, without a doubt. Excellently voiced by Jason Isaacs. Hello, Jason Isaacs. In the Rebels show, but in game form now. So let's get into the Grand Inquisitor developer insights, and I will be giving you the TLDR. We're happy to introduce you to the Grand Inquisitor, a menace and a force to be reckoned with. On the battlefield, don't let him linger around too long, otherwise you can expect a debuff bonanza. The basics. Powerful leader who bolsters members of the Inquisitor team, obviously. With basic attack, he can hit multiple times based on stacks of purge on the target. Special one will cleanse debuffs, equalize health, and protection. Patience at the start of the battle. Opponents are inflicted with a stack of purge. So lots of purge. Lots and lots of purge, which is always good.
Can you remind me of what purge does? I know I'm in AI, but it's not in my database.
Purge is like the special debuff, the special buff, like buzz droids in the Separatists. They get Harry Potters, and the more Harry Potters they get, the more damage and the more things they can do.
Okay.
Well, purge is very, very much like that. You can put purge on a character, but you can also put purge on an Inquisitor, and their specials use up either the purge on the character that's the bad guy, or it increases their power if it's on them.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, that's the best TLDR I can give on.
No, that was great.
That's the easiest way I can explain purge. So the Inquisitor spreads that around quite a lot. Unique attributes are it's all about the territory wars. It really, really is all about the territory wars. Special 2 instant defeats a Jedi if they have a 6 stack of purge. Enemy characters regain purge if it's consumed or dispelled. And whenever Jedi enemies with purge gain protection up, they take damage equal to 25% of their max. So we were all told it was going to really, really harm Jedis, and it is going to do some nasty stuff to some Jedi.
So what if 6 stacks are on a GL? Does that count on a GL Jedi? I wonder.
We'll have to wait and see. It's not supposed to, but there do seem to be quite a few bugs floating around regarding the Inquisitors at the moment, and that is a question that you can ask
Fatal. Yeah,
Fatal when he comes on, because he knows his Inquisitors in and out. By now, I have no doubt. Okay, so there's lots of territory war stuff there. Inspiration. As leader of the Inquisitors, we wanted him to be a powerful cornerstone to an all-Inquisitor team. The uniform for our version of Grand Inquisitor was pulled from Star Wars Rebels. While Rupert Fiend, the actor who portrayed him on Obi-Wan Kenobi, was the inspiration behind his visage. Pain can break anyone. You're right to be afraid and ready to die. Were inspired by quotes from Star Wars Rebels, while comparison leaves a trail is from Obi-Wan Kenobi. So inspired by the Rebels Inquisitor as opposed to the live action one. Although I will say this, both bad guys, and what's the country of origin of the bad guys' voices? Ding, 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 ding. It's UK. It's nice. The UK. When you want a bad guy, you go to Britain. That's what you do. Granted, true. Robert Fiend is joining an illustrious line, no doubt, of of actors that we will forever rate, just like comic nerds do rate Batman actors. You know, who's at the top? Is it Keaton? Is it Val Kilmer? No, it's neither of them. It's somebody else completely. So we have had 2 Grand Inquisitors. So officially my number 1 and number 2 is Jason Isaacs number 1. I don't know if Robert Friend is any good because I haven't watched Kenobi, so I don't know if he's any good. Right, moving on. Strategy tips. Grand Inquisitor was designed to challenge Jedi galactic legends who are on teams without their lifter units, i.e. Commander Ahsoka Tano. In Territory Wars game mode, that's just in Territory Wars game mode. Okay, understood. Keep an eye on purge stacks to maximize Grand Inquisitor's multi-attacks and bonuses from his unique. So I take from that probably the more purge that's on an opponent, the more obviously the more damage the multi-attacks are going to do. Most of the Inquisitors have the exact same base speed, allowing you to mod them to take the turn order you are looking for. Yeah, I imagine turn order is definitely a big deal. So how often will the Grand Inquisitor event run? It'll be a 7-day initial run. Reoccurrence will be similar to other legendaries. So it could be, I mean, the average is every 3 months. So it could run every 3 months. Or they could just give into that and just run it every month because, you know, the more frequently they run it, the more money they'll make. Any tips? Oh, this one at the end, isn't it? Any tips for beating his event in the journey guide? Each tier is 2 encounters, the first one being a training session against the Grand Inquisitor and the second against a Jedi or unaligned Force user. Many tiers become a lot easier if you use the proper leader to counter what the enemy is bringing to battle. I mean, I've got to say that when I first read that, I don't know your thoughts on this, but when I first read that, I thought it was a bit of a cheap legendary, considering how much they've been hyping this. Because, you know, this character's been hyped in not 1 but 2 road aheads. 2 road aheads.
Yeah,
you know, and they hype it up in the media advertising for the game. So you know, you want to draw new people in. You want to bring in new money. Yep. I mean, obviously, someone brand new to the game isn't going to be doing the Inquisitor. They're not. Yeah. They're simply not. There's no way a day 1 player could come, join, and take Inquisitors to Relic 5 so that they can go for the Grand Inquisitor. But you can be lured in by the prospect of it. Well, I mean, it just seems like a dull, you know. So basically each phase, normally with a legendary, you would get some kind of a story. Yeah. All you're getting with this is 7 tiers of the Inquisitor for round 1, and then 1 other character for round 2. That just seems a bit dull. Right. Well, just I mean, I've watched it, and I have also watched someone from beginning to end do this event. So yeah.
I mean, outside the event, I mean, if he's going to be built to counter GLs, how many times do you see a JMK or whoever without Cat on defense? I mean, does it happen a lot? It does happen a lot.
It depends. It's that kind of thing is going to depend entirely on your guild's level of play. Because obviously you've got the top tier that are always in the top 10. Territory Wars is no different from GAC, right? There is a big ass table. There is a big ass ladder, and everybody is in that same ladder. We don't get to see that ladder, but it exists, right? So you're going to have your top 1%. They may not be broken down into, you know, Kyber or Erodium levels. Maybe there would get more interest from people if Territory Wars was broken down into leagues that guilds could climb up and, you know, up and get end of month, you know.
That would be cool.
Maybe something like that would be interesting, but the data on that you're asking for and what you're talking about, it really does vary. There's no objectively firm answer. It's all, you know, well, the 430 mil GP guilds are going to be getting something different, and 400 and 350 and you know, you've got these levels, and it's just different for everyone.
It'll be interesting to see what people are doing with him. I mean, another thing that's kind of disappointing is and I know other games like Strike Force do the same thing where they'll release a brand new character, but it's only for territory wars or only for Grand Arena or only for territory battles. So that's another reason why he's a little lackluster, is because, I mean, you only get to use him for territory wars. I mean, you don't only get to use him, but that's where he's going to be best at. He's going to be a whole different team with Grand Arena, right? Because I'm sure his Omnicrons aren't going to be Grand Arena and things like that. So, I mean, it may not be a very good team in Grand Arena. So that'll be interesting too.
Well, I mean, he's probably, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he was made a requirement for every top team, every top tier guild that is in the top 10 of territory wars. This is going to be something that is a guild requirement for everybody in all of those guilds, so that, you know, each of those guilds has the ability to place, you know, a wall of, or keep it for offense, knowing 100% that your opponent isn't going to be putting Jedi on defense. You know, so the primary guilds that are going to have this character are people, everyone in is going to have it. So it's going to be 50 of them against 50 of them. And they're both going to keep them for offense, both forcing each other to not put Jedi down on defense. And they'll be putting stuff down that, you know, that the Inquisitors have trouble beating. And do you want to know where my money is?
Let's hear it.
My money is on Darth Revan Malgus teams. I think that's what's going to be the big counter to the Grand Inquisitor and the Inquisitorius. It's going to be a wall of Malgus and Darth Revan,
because, you
know, putting out shock and awe, like just constantly on it, with, you know, their Relic 7 and 8, Relic 8 and Relic 9 basties, just lighting them up like a Christmas tree.
And Purge probably won't affect Darth Revan teams much either. So with Malgus, but I don't know.
Probably. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But from a territory wars point of view, I think that we're not that far off. But I mean, what I've just said, you know, could be doing territory wars, you know, actually giving us a progression ladder like GAC, but for territory wars. You know, make each individual territory war count towards some extra rewards at the end of the season.
And you'd find people would put more effort into territory.
Oh, war. If here's the thing: there would people that would still play it casually, but if you offer a little extra something at the end of a run of, say let's say they do 5 territory wars per month. I mean, what's the average? Do you know what the average is? The average number of territory wars in a month, is it 5 or 6 or 7? What's the average? It's 4, is it? 4's the average number. Okay.
4 or 6.
So if it's an average of 4 a month, then do just that. There's no need to do a break. They can just do, you know, so you do 4 and you get, you know, you have a banner score. You know, you're in a table with 5 other people.
Yeah.
4 other people. I just think, but I mean, this is all speculation. This is what we'll do is we're going to speak to Fatal on the other side of this break. We will ask him all of these questions about the Inquisitor because, you know, he did the event recently and he's got it. So we'll bring him on and we'll pick his brains for some questions. And that'll be right here after this break.
HotBot in HotUtils is one of the most comprehensive tools for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
With integration into the super useful mod tool Grand Ivory, HotUtils can help you tackle some of the most difficult aspects of the game.
Not sure how to mod your roster for a certain game mode?
Use one of the many filters that automatically assigns the right mods to the right character in accordance with your guild needs.
Now with the digital features that can assist you and your guild officers in territory battles and territory wars, HotUtils is an amazing value.
And don't forget the useful tools for yourself in Grand Arena, like the in-depth and customizable compare feature.
Got multiple accounts like Neil, but not the time to remod them all?
With this one-stop utility, you can switch between your alts and never miss a mod upgrade or a mod switch before locking into GAC or Territory Wars.
Starting at just $5 a month, you don't want to miss out on these great tools.
HotUtils is the new official remodding service for the Escape Pod. Cast.
Visit HotUtils.com to learn more. That's HotUtils.com. And go ahead and spice up your Galaxy of Heroes experience.
Podawans, be sure to support the shows brought to you on the Escape Podcast Twitch and YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you can support us and get a little extra for yourself. With tiered rewards including access to Shitty Bill's Arena Tracking Bot, after-show access, inclusion in the GA Center leaderboards, behind-the-scenes access, and much more. There is something for everyone on our Discord server. Head on over to Patreon, that is patreon.com/The Escape Pod, and sign up today. Thank you for supporting and listening to the Escape Podcast.
Back to school. The Escape Pod, cast for kids. It's really cool.
Hello there, Podawans, and welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Uncle Thad. The wait is finally over, and the Grand Inquisitor has arrived in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. The latest legendary character to come to the game, the Grand Inquisitor is the final piece of the Inquisitorious faction for now. So, who is this dark side leader? Let's take a look at the Grand Inquisitor's backstory and see where he fits in Star Wars canon. While the Grand Inquisitor's title seems to have been thrown around from time to time during the reign of the Empire, the Grand Inquisitor, as we know him in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, is a Padawan male who was a temple guard during the events of Order 66. And, I mean, leading up to that, too. It wasn't just that he was there during the Order 66. He was a temple guard during the Clone Wars. Now, we don't know a ton about his backstory, but we do know that he was heavily involved during the events of the temple bombing on Coruscant during the Clone Wars. This future Inquisitor was one of the guards who actually chased Ahsoka Tano from the temple and ultimately escorted her into the trial. It was these events that left the Grand Inquisitor feeling dejected and subject to the dark side, and what ultimately led him to grow displeased with the Jedi Order as a whole. Although not Sith, the Inquisitors were skilled in the dark arts. Trained by Lord Vader and Emperor Palpatine, the Grand Inquisitor was the most capable of all of the Inquisitorious. He was involved in every one of the investigations run by the Inquisitorious. Now, he started off, or we know that he was involved heavily in the investigation of the death of the sixth brother, an Inquisitor who was killed on the farming moon of Ra'ada, and whose lightsabers had actually been stolen. Actually, it was the crystals of the lightsabers that had been stolen. And wait, who was that took? Oh yeah, it was Ahsoka Tano. Now, he also spent time hunting other Jedi, of course, but he most notably hunted Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, which led to his being stabbed by the third sister, which is a whole thing, and I won't get into it. But most notably, for like most people, the Grand Inquisitor took an active role in uncovering the rebel cell on Lothal. It was here that we see just how sophisticated the Grand Inquisitor was in hunting his prey. He used the dead body of Jedi Master Luminara Unduli to coax, to lure, to entice surviving Jedi into a trap. We can assume that other Jedi fell for this trap, but we do know that ultimately Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger fell for the trap as well. Presumably, like all members of the Inquisitorious, the Grand Inquisitor met his fate. He died on the Sovereign. I want to say that he died at the hands of Kanan Jarrus, but that's not actually true. He fell to his death after a battle with Kanan Jarrus because he knew that he would be punished. Now, his final words are, "There are some things far more frightening than death." With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the Grand Inquisitor's kit in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and see kind of how it meshes up. Now, the Grand Inquisitor is a calculating, relentless leader of the Inquisitors. He specializes in dealing with Jedi. As Master of the Inquisitorius, he is an unaligned, dark side attacker who works tirelessly to eliminate all traces of the once populous Jedi Order. His basic ability works best when he is accompanied by a full cadre of Inquisitors. The sheer number of Inquisitors tends to weaken his enemy's critical damage, but that doesn't stop him from dealing his own critical wounds. His first special ability is a wonderful representation of what it must feel like to face off against him. He rallies his own troops, as well as inflicting ability block and vulnerable on his enemy. This highlights what it must have been like to be a Jedi, alone and afraid and vulnerable during the reign of the Empire. Ready to Die is the Grand Inquisitor's second special ability and is another one that seems to highlight what happens when he finally catches up to his prey. They lose turn meter, which would be like a Jedi unable to move or attack, finally cornered, ready to be punished for the simple association of being a Jedi. The Grand Inquisitor then tortures his victim. Now, what I love about the leadership ability is that it really highlights the need for the rest of the Inquisitors to have someone at their head. With all of their bickering and infighting, they didn't work super well together. And it was only until the Grand Inquisitor would use his firm hand could the Inquisitorius actually function as a unit. Sorry, I said unit. Now, his first unique ability is less about the Grand Inquisitor and more about the heroic nature of the Jedi. That a Jedi can't help but to do good. And as good happens, other people respond with good, right? It's like when you smile, other people smile. But then the Grand Inquisitor would see those smiles and then, kill anyone who was smiling to stop the Jedi from doing good. So I think the lesson here is don't smile. The second and final unique ability highlights the Grand Inquisitor's patience. The name of the ability is Patience. Now, Capital Games wants us to know that the Grand Inquisitor, and by association, the rest of the Inquisitorius are, say it with me now, that's right, able to wait a very long time to reach their goal. Well, that's it for me, folks. Stay tuned next week for more story time with Uncle Thad on the Escape Podcast for Kids. Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and I approve this message and am compensated for signups for this service.
The world's largest audiobook library is at your fingertips, and the Escape Podcastaways want you to try it for free. Head on over to escapepodcastaways.com and click the Going Nerdy offer button to claim a free audiobook and 2 Audible originals. Cancel anytime, and it's absolutely free to sign up. Check out Audible and support the Escape Podcastaways. All for free. See Audible website for details. Restrictions may apply.
Hey there, listeners. Merchandise specialist Critty K here. Do you enjoy the Escape Pod and want to support the channel and get something a little extra for yourself as well? Head on over to tpublic.com/user/theescapepodcast and grab a Team Neil, Team Paul, Critty Play, or many other fun Padawan designs on your choice of shirt, cup, sticker, mask, or even a magnet. And be sure to check out the Mrs. Anthony Shirts channel on the Escape Podcast Discord and get the latest info on the other designs I make as well. Sometimes there's even a sale going on, so it is smart to stop on by. Thank you for supporting the Escape Podcast.
Attention, we are receiving an incoming transmission. Attention, we are receiving an incoming transmission.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This week's incoming transmission is a guest we've had on before. They were on the show back in January, earlier on this year. We had them on specifically, actually, to talk about the new version of Grand Arena Championships because we just concluded that first month and we wanted an expert's opinion on that. Well, we've brought this person back on again for yet again more expert opinion. This could turn into a regular thing. As we saw the event kick in, Grand Inquisitor, everybody rushed to get their other their other Inquisitors, ready to rock and roll. But this man was already sat and waiting and ready, not just ready and waiting, but he also had his mods ready. It's Fatal. How are you?
Good. It seems like I'm just coming on for all the grand topics, huh? Just
we'll get you on for the good stuff. I was playing back the discussion from our last chat, like it was back in January, and it was immediately after we'd had the first 4 weeks. It was like getting your, how the crystals worked, what it was like, and then obviously we had a new character and figured let's get you on. So
it's interesting times, especially for said character.
So you knew about it, you were ready for it. I take it you hit it the second it started.
Yeah, for whatever reason I decided it'd be a good idea to go live at 2 a.m.
I do remember you being online at that time because I was also online at that time, so yeah.
We're all in this for whatever reason, because CG doesn't really do that anymore, right? That's how it always used to be. Is when events were harder, it was this 2 a.m. scramble, like we got to figure this event out so that when people wake up in the morning, my guide will be the guide that people see. And then CG stopped making hard events, and then we got into Grand Inquisitors event, and it was actually kind of hard. So kind of all flavors of that. It was nostalgic.
So there will be an event video on this one, will there?
I'm back and forth on it. I think a couple of creators have already done a pretty solid job. I think before the event ends, it would be nice if I could do an RNG test just to see if there is an ideal set of mods, because going into my stream, I had the mods correct for something. Turns out I don't think it was necessarily correct for that event. CG kind of playing it differently on this one, where fast characters really aren't going to get you that far because the event is designed so every time you take a turn, they get terminated that you pretty much can't stop. So it's pretty much 2 of your characters go, and then the enemy is going to go and reset. And so you will just get stuck in a situation where if your team is, how mine was, my team is just speed to the nines and, maybe a little bit of offense. I could not drop people. And so once I got done with my stream, it seemed like I was taking a little bit longer to get through than other people were. I was maybe having more issues than other people were. So it seems like there's definitely something there. It will be nice to go back and get some tests in just to see okay, next time this event comes around, this is for sure gonna be the way you want to go. But also need to take a break and save my sanity to go do some other tests and maybe not run that event for a while instead.
No, I get that. So what were your thoughts on the event itself? How did it perform? You've already said that the difficulty level was based primarily on offense, not speed. How did you find the event itself?
So I think I'm, at least in my experience, I tend to be a straggler, and that I actually kind of like events that, slap you around a little bit. Galaxy Heroes is a game about puzzles to me. And so, as Galactic Legends started to roll around, it's definitely the situation where events kind of just stopped being events and more started being, kind of pretty slideshows where you didn't have an auto button. So you were just sitting there for about 10 minutes. I remember it was the Master Kenobi event or something where I just kind of sat there mashing my keyboard, and then no matter what you did, you could not lose. So I was kind of happy to see it come back here. I don't necessarily think that this is the best designed event, but at the same time, the usual hard waves that everyone will run into is the one where you fight Fulcrum usually, and then the one that you fight Maul. And so, at least to me, as a gauge of an event, with Fulcrum, lost to her for a good long while. I had to take a beat, look at the event mechanics, and say okay, in order to beat her, we need to start dodging her. And so next time I went into the event, it was, she has retaliation or retribution so that she'll counterattack you. And so I said, okay, we'll make the foresight, and then we'll hit her a bunch so that she hits our foresight. And then, okay, we don't have foresight. Let's get that counterattack off immediately. And okay, we made the foresight again. We'll let her keep counterattacking us. First time I did that, immediate win. So, that feels to me like it's more of a puzzle than just...
So each tier required you to have the 5 Inquisitors in different positions. You had to cycle through the different leadership roles?
So I mostly ran Fifth Brother Lead just kind of being my go-to favorite. But then ironically for me, Second Sister actually ended up being the way that I beat the 2 harder ones, Maul and Fulcrum. I know I also heard that Seventh Sister Lead has some free evasion on it, and people were really kind of favoring that against Fulcrum as well. So there is kind of some mix and match. It feels like definitely it's an event where it seems like you really want to remod, unless you just happen to be on, the conveniently perfect Inquisitor mods already. Definitely also seems like an event where, team setup strategy has a pretty decently sized effect on that. Although people have been winning with multiple leads, but it's still like, it definitely helps. And then, the rest of it is just know the mechanics, check the weight mechanics, make sure that you understand with the weight mechanics, because if you just ignore it and go in and push buttons like I did, it took me a minute.
That's my kind of style.
So big question, how does he perform? As the leader of 4 Inquisitors, how does he perform?
Well, there's good news, there's bad news, and there's some disappointing news. So the good news is, if you happen to be willing to play Conquest with the Datacrons, he can crush JMK Cat right now, like the dumbest wins that you've ever seen, with the stun loop Datacron. It's dumb. It's real dumb. Bad news is that's temporary. The disappointing news is the faction has so many bugs on it right now that like the final performance of the team to me just feels like it's stuck in limbo. And these are bugs where like, so Seventh Sister is like the usual way that you make a ton of purge for the team at once. Her whole thing is you take buffs on an enemy, she gets rid of all of them, and then she takes that many buffs and turns into purge. That's like the one way that this faction had to say like, I want to get as much purge as possible right now. That's my way to do it. That ain't happening anymore.
It's not working.
Nope. And so I was an early adopter of Inquisitors in my Lord Vader team, and I have footage from my opponents from a month ago of them fighting my team. And I was able to pull it up on stream and show like, no, look at this. Like their Jedi Master Luke is getting 6 purge immediately from my 7th Sister. So whatever broke them was I guess an unfortunately timed recent breakage. Because when I took Grand Inquisitor into, Squad Arena, we had an opening combo that actually looked like it was doing pretty decently into Master Kenobi with Cat, but just, Grand Inquisitor, he makes this thing called Torment. It's a great way to shred down tanks like General Kenobi, very hilariously easy, even at like Relic 9. It's kind of wild. But he has the ability block. He needs to be able to take that second turn as well. That comes from him getting to 6 purge. If 7th Sister alone, if that was the only bug that was fixed, you could get that combo. You could get Torment out. You could get him that second turn with the bonus with the 6 purge. You can ability block Cat. And at the least, you can have General Kenobi dead. You can have access to the rest of the team. And that's a playable spot, right? Whatever happens from there, maybe you win, maybe you don't. But your fate is yours. But then, as if that wasn't enough, 8th Brother as well. He is supposed to generate purge anytime he uses a special ability, and that also is not working. Not gonna say that one's nearly as bad as 7th, but it all just kind of adds up to you play the Inquisitors right now, and unless you just start skipping abilities to use their basics because the basics work to make purge, you use their whole entire rotation and combo, and someone just has like 3 purge on them, and you're like, great.
So what else was bad? Because you had a third thing as well.
Mostly it's just about the fact that the Datacron is the band-aid right now, and also CG track record on fixing bugs can be inconsistent. So would you say the squad is still is value for what you've got to put in for the Grand Inquisitor? Or do you think it would be worth it more if the bugs on those 2 characters were fixed? I think the team is barely even a real team. Like without the Datacrons existing, the team is barely even a real team until those bugs get fixed. They have so much sheer stats that I would not be surprised if you could beat teams like a CLS or something. I messed around with trying to beat Gas a bunch, and I think lower level Gas teams might be fine. My test partner has Relic 9 on Gas and 5s, which is something that you see a lot of top guilds adopting a while ago, and that is just not happening. Or like maybe it's theoretically possible. Someone more patient than me that's just like, no, you bring your turn meter down, you gotta let Rex go first, and then you kill Gas or something, and then you set up it's very, very brutal, and just like it's not an easy fight. I got it to like Gas last man standing once in like 10 attempts. That's so crazy. Yeah. I mean, like the fight
not value, not the kind of value that you would expect to get from a legendary. Considering the amount of I mean, you've got to make five marquee characters, Relic 5, in order to get this character, and then obviously he becomes the leader of 4 of them. And what you're saying is it's not doing what you would expect. Another legendary to cut that was coming in at the time to beat everything before it. We saw it with JKR, then we saw it with DR, then we saw it with Malik, then we saw it with Gas. We've seen it with, and you'd expect the next legendary to come along and just slaughter, or especially with such a high price.
Really, I think this is just a casualty of Omicrons where. So I think on Omicrons overall, I still think I remain fairly positive. It is thrilling to be able to have these old characters that you might have that either just completely fell off or never saw the light of day in the first place. And like a centerpiece of my defense right now is Qui-Gon Jinn. And that is a statement that we can say in 2022, and it is true, and it is crazy.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But at the same time, right, we have these new event characters, and every new character has to have an Omicron, it seems. And so you're basically playing the lottery with CG, it feels like, of this new character. Like every time I go in, I'm asking myself, like, is this character going to have some like base things in their kit that end up being locked into Omicrons, because that's just the choice that CG made. And definitely, I think Grand Inquisitor got a lot chopped off into Omicrons that is disappointing. So
yeah, the insta kill, for example,
the insta kill, the reset purge after it gets consumed is only.
They had no issues with an insta kill on Mando, or an insta kill on Nihilus, or an insta kill on Ahsoka Commander. I mean, it's like, why have you this guy's a legendary. It's all right.
Yes.
It's okay.
I give you permission.
You have our permission to put an insta kill on it, but it's like, nah, we're going to put it on the Omicron, and we're only going to allow you to do insta kills in territory wars. And it's like, every time they do something like this, I go back to the same argument. What they need to do with Omicrons is swap them around so that there's 2 types, a PvP and a PvE.
Yeah.
So you're either doing PvE,
yes.
so you either want your Omicrons on PvP or PvE, and that's
that's essentially what Datacrons are doing now anyway, right? We're basically already there. Like,
I mean, well, a Datacron's going to be usable in territory battles? No, they're not.
I doubt it.
Exactly.
Maybe subject to change, but I doubt
it. And this is why they shouldn't be. They're shoeholing these things that Omicrons, they're shoeholing them into separate ones. If they wanted more engagement from the community, they would just make it PvE or PvP, because that's somebody that is a guild player that goes hard at territory battles, I think would be very, very interested in investing in Ommies and Datas to make them better and get closer and closer to completing the light side GOTB. And
it's
then
always pretty crazy. If you check the .gg page for, you can see how many players have taken Omicrons. Those TB ones, I think competitive players like to joke on them a lot, but like there are a lot of players who are both willingly and happily, even after the fact, they are happy to have those TB Omicrons and just like, yeah, I 16 out of 16 today easily.
I just, they're the people that prefer to get, and then what about the collectors as well? You've got the assault battles, because assault battles would be classed as PvE as well. So I just think that if they'd kind of split, every time we get something like this, I'm reminded of, I'm given another good reason to push for. You really, really need to change the way omnis and data are done, so that it's like this and like this. You'll get more engagement and more people investing.
It's just a very, very strange casualty in all this. Omicrons, I think, still. I mean, would you agree? Like, kind of happy with the system overall, but just new characters have taken such a weird.
I'm happy. I think Omicron. There's nothing wrong with them. They'll get like other things, they'll be more plentiful, and the longer they're at, they'll have to, because you got to remember, not only do they put nom-noms on every new character that comes out, but they also put an Omicron on a previous character.
Yeah,
so
it's the previous one that's like, when I hear they're like new Omicron in the patch notes, it's still for me this kind of special moment of like, what are we doing?
Like, for example,
who's it gonna be?
Because you can guarantee that at some point they'll be like, well, you remember that one that we did for Qui-Gon? I wonder if we could get away with doing something similar for Gamu or Cup or Ugnaught, or just to drive people nuts. It's like, Ugnaught gets, when Ugnaught taunts, he equals the 100% the health, max health of every single person on his squad, making him like the impossible tank. And then he permanently taunts. So you can only go up against him with people that can,
He's somehow going to become like the first official JMK cat off meta counter. It's going to be on meta. That's
so what were you going to say then, Bodes?
Nothing, but he just said the counter, it's going to be Cup, Ugnaught, Lobot, a Tusken Raider, and Gamorrean Guard.
I think Lobot would get an Omicron that would do more with droids, since there are now more droids in the game. I can see whenever they do his Omicron, it'll be something to do with it'll definitely be something to do with droids, and it'll be on his leadership. That'd be interesting. So we got a little bit of time left. So the last time we had you on, we were discussing GAC, and we just finished the first week. We also hadn't really had Omicrons around that long at that point.
Right.
So we're now about to start the sixth week of this version 3.0. But obviously it's now a reduced one, so it's 3.1. How are you finding it with Omicrons and Datacrons? It must be absolutely nuts for you, because you are in the top 50.
Yeah, I think I had a fun moment of the weekly shipments carried over last night, and so usually the weekly shifts for Datacrons come out, and that's like everyone's always making the huge changes then, because that's when the shard shop currency and all that you can
it resets. It's like Christmas. Christmas comes once a week.
Yep.
Like, quickly get in there and get it all purchased. Like it's not going to be there for 7 days.
So I mean, things are chaotic enough right now that like I looked at my opponent and I saw that he had like a Galactic Republic stun Datacron, and so he placed his board, and I saw the level 6 on the gas, and so for a second I was like, I'm gonna have to like try to see a less gas team with stuns on, and so Fias could like possibly just point at your Chewbacca and put him on ice is not something.
Have you got a loose datacom with the 20 to 30% tenacity stat on it lying around that you could just throw on that CLS team?
But here's the terrifying part: is that stun cannot be resisted.
Oh no, really?
Try as you might.
So
my CLS team
in the world isn't going to work
for days already.
That's
terrified of this type of thing, and there's 2 people on your team who can't be stunned. Good luck.
Insane. So how'd you do against it?
Well, I'm not going to be able to tell you this week because it looks like that was their reroll project after the weekly shipments. Okay. I'm going to be fighting Retaliate, which is much, much worse. So go me. I'm looking forward to not having to fight that this week. That's someone else's problem, not mine. But yeah, no, I think it... the Datacron problem is I think it's way too slow right now. Like legitimately, like even if you wanted to be a like the whaliest of whales, disposable income just falling out of your ears, like things are just so slowly paced. And like the free-to-play angle, I'm gonna be running the math tonight and plan to do a free-to-play Datacron farming guide shortly, but like I have a strong suspicion that I think the weekly crystal shipments might actually be better than farming, which usually as far as Galaxy Hero goes, that's always been the opposite, right? It's like, no, you do the hard work, you do the, well, hard work, the sims usually for refreshes, and then the shipments is kind of like the whalier option, or like if you're going to go hard on refreshes, maybe dip the shipments instead for a little bit or something. It like Conquest is just, it's so many attempts, and luckily they didn't make the treasure nodes hard. I think that is so huge that they didn't. But even without it being that, it's so many attempts. It's a lot of work, and if you're trying to go hard on Conquest treasure nodes of just like refresh after refresh after refresh, you're not getting that much back. Yeah. It's so many materials, they get more expensive quickly. The rerolls get more expensive quickly. You barely farm reroll mats. It's a system that I think I really enjoy. You know, you talk about we came on after the first season of GAC when everything changed, and part of those changes was we got Dash, Starkiller, Kyle Katarn, not Mamatha, but Mara Jade, right? Like Omicrons, like everything was hitting all at once, and so it was this very fresh feeling at the time. And then kind of coming closer to where we were now, that meta got solved, right? You know, Dash Rendar is very much not a threatening team for most players that I fight against anymore. It used to be kind of the crown jewel. I love my fast teams. Django with Bam got solved. You know, all these fast teams got solved, and so Datacrons I think could add some very fun, much needed shakeups to keep the competition interesting. You know, keep the creativity flowing. But in order for the creativity to flow, you need access to the stuff that CG is trying to make. And so yeah, the balancing of the system is kind of baffling to me. I think one explanation that you could look at is the fact that, you know, set one, we're assuming that like maybe 50% of those materials will dismantle into set 4. So I do think this could maybe end up being a situation where as Datacron sets continue to keep coming out, that ecosystem might kind of have a second life.
If you get enough salvage from your set 3 to pump straight into a set 4. Is that what you mean by it being cyclical? Because as long as it's cyclical, it would need to build up to set 5 to set 6, and I suppose it would just, you know, because the recycled materials are always going to be whatever. Are they always going to be the currency for the whatever the meta set is, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6?
I suspect it will be, or at least like, well, the credits are the global currency, and then I really doubt that CG would change the rollover stuff. So assuming, you know, when you dismantle right now, it's 50%. So we're just kind of assuming that cross set dismantling would also be 50%. But if it follows that rate, I don't know however many number of dismantles down the line, but we're essentially going to be working with double what we have right now. So to me, it's just like, I guess the idea of like one set turning into another is cool. Was that really worth having set 1 be this like false start, slow roll, like, you know, call it whatever, like, and we're off to the races, and it can't quite do anything, like yeah, like I would say like maybe lower the dismantle rate, or like you don't really need cross set dismantling. Maybe, I guess the nice thing would be, you know, a new set comes out, you will have stuff to work with immediately rather than having to farm it all from scratch, is maybe the idea of just like, you know, day 1 you can do some tinkering or theory crafting. But I don't know, I'm selfish, I'm impatient. I want to mess around with stuff, and I don't want to kill hundreds of thousands of Tuskens to get there.
For Fatal Bones about Datacrons?
Oh, I just he pretty much answered, like, how has your overall experience, although it's been a short test sample of them, what's your overall opinion of them? I mean, do you enjoy them? Are you kind of like with everyone else? You know, especially since you're all the way at the top. I mean, it's different for you than people like me. You know, I'm barely going to even see them right now. So I just wonder, like, your general overall opinion, which you pretty much already gave. But
no, I mean, I think like you bring up a really valuable point though, which is I feel like the majority of players, you know, myself included, like we just went up against like the rank 5, rank 6 guilds. No one is really like, if you want to really be like, I am a dedicated dedicated Datacron player. That's a fun tongue twister. It takes so much work that like who is doing that right now? There's like, I know a handful of people maybe that are putting that work in, and like, so the influence of this system is going to be so low because the amount of grinding and conquest refreshes it takes to really get anywhere is so high that, like, you know, like we said, like it's the weekly shop. The weekly shop is the way that the majority of players are progressing right now. And you know, I think the shard shop currency costs landed pretty low, it feels like. And so I guess I'm kind of grateful for that it seems like fairly accessible in that sense. I think it needed to be low because a lot of people will be skittish about spending real gear on it. But it's just, yeah, you know, when Datacrons first came out, when everyone was looking at that first set, I think people panicked of like, you know, oh, well, you know, Kenobi teams are going to have Reflect. I mean, Reflect turned out to be bad, which is funny, but, you know, everyone was assuming that like, you know, I'm going to fight the worst version possible of all these teams. And no, you're not.
So are you seeing a lot of people with maxed out Omnicrons? I mean, not really. Even
like not even at the end game. Like it's just, it's so much work.
Yeah.
That like most people have like kind of one level 5, one level 6-ish. Maybe you're putting some conquest refreshes in or getting some of the extra crystal shipments, and like they get like 8 or 9. My opponent right now has like a 9 and a 6, so like, you know, the weekly shop rolled over. I don't think I'll be fighting those this week, but just to give you an idea of like, it's the weekly reset. It's always a weekly reset of like, whoa, how'd they get so much? And it's like, no, man, you've checked their account like 2 hours ago. They would not have this. It's Christmas.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I just, we'll see how it ages over time, but right now its impact just feels really, really low. And so, you know, I really wonder.
We'll do that. We'll do the same. We'll bring you back on in another. We'll bring you back on. We'll bring you back on in a couple of months. You know, once we've gone through several sets, we'll get you back on, and you can be like, yeah, this is how things seem to be working and progressing for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, before we shuffle you out the escape pod, tell us about your channels, pimp your stuff, let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure, youtube.com/the playbook. Yeah, you know, having fun with all the new systems where it can be done. I think tomorrow will be a video I think it would be worth seeing, at least if you are at all interested in Datacrons. JMK Cat is, at least for this set, no longer going to be safe. Well, maybe. There's also a way that you can protect yourself also in the video, but that's gonna be coming. Free-to-play Datacron farming video coming. I have spent an unholy amount of time in Conquest to figure out the hard answers that nobody else would have to.
And we appreciate
good. So lots of so they you heard it first, everybody.
I've
Lots
killed
of
so many
content
Tuskens in Sector 4 that even Anakin is like, yo, that's kind of messed up, dude. Like, need some therapy.
So that's the YouTube channel for these videos, is it?
Yep, and then twitch.tv/PlaybookTV for the GACD side of things. Currently in rank 13. I missed a join last season, so kind of been having to do some rank repair.
Oh no,
that's the worst.
The fastest track way to ruin a GACN season possible. You know,
not many people. Not many people can miss an entire week and still claim to be top 50. So you're clearly doing something right. So
yeah. Anyway, some triage over here.
Well, Trio still 13. You mustn't grumble with 13 after missing 3 full rounds.
I'll take it.
You'll take it. Okay, right. We'll be back after these few messages. On the other side of this break, Patreon's choice. Toodles.
HotBot in HotUtils is one of the most comprehensive tools for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
With integration into the super useful mod tool Grand Ivory, HotUtils can help you tackle some of the most difficult aspects of the game.
Not sure how to mod your roster for a certain game mode?
Use one of the many filters that automatically assigns the right mods to the right character in accordance with your guild needs.
Now with the digital features that can assist you and your guild officers in territory battles and territory wars, HotUtils is an amazing value.
And don't forget the useful tools for yourself in Grand Arena, like the in-depth and customizable compare feature.
Got multiple accounts like Neil, but not the time to remod them all?
With this one-stop utility, you can switch between your alts and never miss a mod upgrade or a mod switch before locking into GAC or Territory Wars.
Starting at just $5 a month, you don't want to miss out on these great tools.
HotUtils is the new official remodding service for the Escape Pod. Cast.
Visit HotUtils.com to learn more. That's HotUtils.com. And go ahead and spice up your Galaxy of Heroes experience.
Padawans, be sure to support the shows brought to you on the Escape Podcast Twitch and YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you can support us and get a little extra for yourself. With tiered rewards including access to Shitty Bill's Arena tracking bot, after-show access, inclusion in the GA Center leaderboards, behind-the-scenes access, and much more. There is something for everyone on our Discord server. Head on over to Patreon, that is patreon.com/The Escape Pod, and sign up today. Thank you for supporting and listening to the Escape Podcast.
Vicky, why do I feel heavier than I did when I powered down for the night?
Well, don't freak out, noob. I had Yarmo install a multiverse drive on your motherboard.
A multiverse drive? This is madness. What exactly is a multiverse drive?
It's really cool. It allows you to open portals into different realities.
And why would I want to do that?
Look, we were commissioned to bring in Hondo. Our Hondo seems to be nowhere to be found, so all we need is to find a reality where Hondo isn't missing, and boom, we've got him.
That may seem logical, but I have seen enough movies to know that messing with the multiverse never turns out as expected. This is gonna turn out bad.
Nonsense. We find Hondo, we lure him in, toss him through the portal, and that's it. Bob's your uncle.
First off, Bob is not my uncle. He is a formless AE, a no-bod.
Don't use that term, noob. They prefer the term bodily deprived. Anyhow, time to put this thing to the test.
Okay, but let the record show I am totally against this. How do I activate this thing?
Well, you just need to say the activation code and we should wind up in a different reality.
And what exactly is the activation code?
Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula? Vicky, this is bad. We are gonna get eaten alive by these crate dragons.
Say the code, quick!
Scott Bakula! Scott Bakula!
Whoa, man, I really thought we were goners there. That was close.
Whoa, Vicky, you are even meatbaggier than usual. And your head, it's not flapping.
Yeah, I do feel kind of different, but I gotta admit, this feels kind of cool.
No. The last thing I need is more meat on you people. Scott Bakula. Oh, good. You're back. This world seems kind of normal now. Oh, wow. You're a noob also. I never knew they made more. Uh-oh. I'm pretty sure you are not supposed to interact with your other selves.
I'm pretty sure that's a time travel thing. I don't think we need to worry.
Hi. Are you another noob? What's your friend's name? This is Dicky. Do you not have a Dicky? Dicky? No, I don't have a Dicky. At least not that I know of. What is this? It's a human companion. You know, a meat bag. Oh, a meat bag. Yes, I have one of those. His name is Helenix. So, you didn't kill Helenix?
Kill me? Noob, are you planning on turning against me? And trying to kill me?
I don't know what this guy is talking about. I swear!
You swear? Well, I'll swear. If you even think about trying anything, why, I'll gut your circuits, mister.
It is against my programming to hurt humans.
You know what? I'm not even gonna risk it. This has been a long time coming, Buster. I'm removing all your weaponry.
But that would leave me defenseless?
Noob, with the logic programming you have saved to your hard drive, you're already defenseless. Still, I can't risk it.
Dickie, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's go. Good to see you, though, Helly.
Scott Bakula!
So, before we begin, you want to tell me? Who was that guy? He's part of your secret plan to terminate me, isn't he?
No, not really. I don't even... What? Help! Scott Bakula, it worked for him! Well, that was weird.
Are you okay, Noob? Are you feeling confused by seeing Helenix again?
Not as confused as I am about the fact that we are now made out of blocks.
Whoa, we are. This is pretty different.
Yeah, do I even have any circuits?
Hey, cool, a Pinky Worker droid. I can't wait to tell Pace.
Hey there, I'm Dickie, and this is my droid Noob.
I'm Ron Freemaker. Your droid is so cool.
I like this Brit bag.
Hey, Rowan, do you know somebody by the name of Hondo Onaka by any chance?
I do. I know exactly where to find him.
Seriously? Can you bring us to him?
Follow me.
Will our heroes finally find Hondo Onaka? Tune in next time on Dickie and the Noob. In August, because July's episode of Dickie and the Noob will be preempted by our annual celebration of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the SWGOHs. That's right, tune into the third segment for awards every week in the month of July. And make sure to join the Escape Podcast Discord for your chance to vote on your favorites for the 2022 SWGOH Awards, which this year will be hosted by none other than The Noob.
Oh, great. Meatbags celebrating their meatbag games. Joy. Are you really sure you want me hosting this thing?
You're listening to the Escape Pod Cast.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gents. It's the end. It's the finale. It's Patreon's choice. So I need to pop into Discord and find the questions. Patrons only questions. There we go. Zaz with his smattering of questions.
The usual.
It's going to be good. Is there any highlighted ones? No highlighted ones. Okay, no. Good. Just got these ones then. So we have 6 questions from Zaz. So question number 1, name 3 specific scenes in Star Wars that you think are bad and could be made better.
I can't wait to hear these. You go first, Neff.
I would go with the scene on Dagobah where Luke goes to the dark place. I think that one needs to be done a lot better, because I remember watching that the first time as a kid going, what is it? What is this? Because as a 7-year-old, I had no concept of, mythology or imagery or, or metaphor. I'm a kid watching a movie. Yeah. It's like, sorry, it's science fiction. You're going to have to give it to me straight. So that's definitely a scene that needed doing. I also think that the scene, I think it's scene 38, which has been redone by Star Wars fans, which is the lightsaber duel between the final lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. The reimagining of scene 38, that I cool.
I saw
that's one of my favorite fanfics. That's brilliant. Watching the making of it was even good as well. So the only reason why I would change that scene is because I've seen what passionate fans can do to a scene with not as much action in it, and just add a little bit more, but in a respectful way. So there's that. And then what I would change. If you've got any others, you can come up with yours while I'm thinking of.
I'll just come up with some random ones. This doesn't mean they're like my top 3 or anything, but we talked about this before, and Paul was like, "I can't believe it." But I thought the Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous fight was horrible. It was like watching Transformers or something. It was zoomed in, and it was really badly done. And I was always disappointed about that, because I could not wait to see him in live action. and he just wasn't like he was in the Clone Wars. Remember the OG Clone Wars cartoon that looked like the Powerpuff Girls? It might have been the same company that made it, actually. But he was a badass.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Also, this wasn't a bad scene, but I always thought it was funny where in Return of the Jedi, when Luke goes to visit Yoda, he's walking around talking and everything, and all of a sudden he just lays down and dies. You know, he shows no signs of dying, and he just lays down. I never thought about it as a kid, but I always thought that was funny too. Not to get into spoiler territory, but there was a lot of stuff in Kenobi that I thought was stupid, but can't really get into that. I don't know. Anything else?
Let's stick with changing scenes for the stuff that you really care about. Like I said, I've picked, I've picked two, one from each of the main movies. I'm
also,
trying to think about.
If you guys notice, and maybe it's just me, but in A New Hope, right whenever it's just a little picky thing, the very beginning when they blow up the doors and Vader comes out, he stops. He just kind of looks over like this, and just keeps going. I don't know why, but it drives me insane.
Okay, I know what third scene I would change now. I know what the third scene that I would change is the World Between Worlds episode where Ezra walks through the door and he sees that Ahsoka is about to be defeated by Vader, because obviously that's what we originally thought, way back when the original duel occurred. And obviously the World Between Worlds relives that and he pulls her out. I'd like to see a change to that scene. Not that he leaps in and pulls her out, but that he leaps in and blocks Vader. Okay. And then he duels. I think something, and then obviously he because he's just like he's basically an apprentice. He's not even a Padawan. He's at apprentice level. Yeah. He would never come up against Vader. So obviously that happens a few times, and then Ahsoka comes back in just as Vader's about to pound down on Ezra, and then there's a little bit of backwards and forwards, and then they both come through the door. I would love to have seen Ezra going toe to toe with Vader just for a few parry. I mean, he wouldn't have lasted longer than a few parries, obviously. Right. We're talking Sith Lord versus an apprentice. He wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, he got his ass handed to him by the Grand Inquisitor more than enough. So Vader would, but it's kind of that. I know I'm not going to beat you, but I'm going to jump in and help my friend. I think something like that would have been awesome. And then obviously Ahsoka would have had to have, woke her ass up pretty quickly. Yeah. Oh crap! I best save the apprentice before Darth Vader cuts him down, and then they escape. So those would be the three scenes that I would change.
Here's one more. I wish that Darth Maul would have just killed Anakin in the first one, just killed everybody, and then he would have brought balance to the Force. Right? Everything would have been all right. I'm just messing with you. Your answers were a lot better than mine. What else do we got?
Okay. Question 2. Now name 3 scenes that define what you love about Star Wars.
This one's easier for me. Several of them are just like scenes of just like background characters, but one of my favorite scenes are just the bounty hunters on the Star Destroyer, and that little scene right there. Another scene is Return of the Jedi when they capture Luke. Luke turns himself in, and him and Vader had that little talk before they go up to the Emperor. I love that scene. I don't know why. It's just kind of them talking as father and son, and you don't really see that at all throughout the trilogy or anything. And then, of course, I guess everyone would say this. The Empire Strikes Back. I am your father. And then the Return. I think the Return of the Jedi in fight scene is almost just as good as the Empire. It just doesn't have the twist, So that's about it for me.
I would go with the final trench run scene.
Yep.
Definitely the final trench run scene where and which obviously results in the destruction of the Death Star. It's like first time you see that as a kid, it's like wow, and then Empire Strikes Back. Obviously the lightsaber duel and the result at the end of it, and then exactly the same for Return of the Jedi. This is the lightsaber duel at the end of those two movies. There was more at stake There was just more at stake in each of those, lightsaber duels. I don't think that they've been able to. I don't think that Star Wars has been able to work on that one since actually not since Kanan. I think Kanan's sacrifice, that was probably, that was one of the that was a really, I mean, I remember watching that for the getting to the end of that episode thinking to myself, wow, it's a cartoon. I'm like, whoa, heavy. So okay, next question. 3, what actress would you pick to play Mara Jade in a Star Wars film?
Julian Moore, maybe.
No, it needs to be somebody.
Newer.
It needs to be somebody. It needs to be someone in the. Here's the thing. It would 100% depend on who, in what era they would. If they like for perfect example, if they brought Mara Jade in during the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Mando timeline, it would have to be a relatively older Mara Jade, right? If they were to bring in Mara Jade between the Clone Wars and A New Hope, she'd be, you got to remember that she matches the same age as Luke. Right. So Rebels era, if they were to do, Rebels era, it would have to be the hand of, the Emperor's hand. If they brought Mara Jade in a little bit later, it would be when Luke was a Jedi Knight. So I will go with I'll go with Zoe Saldana. Because we know she looks good with red hair.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
She knows she knows she can do she knows how to do CGI because of the whole Gamora thing. She knows how to do swords, so she should be able to deal with some fencing choreography regarding lightsabers, and she can do she's very good at delivering a full range of emotions.
Yeah, I love her.
So I will go with that. Zoe Saldana for Mara. Who will you go with?
I'll just agree with you because I'm sitting here while you're talking, and I can't think of anybody.
Question for who do you think would portray a good live action Hondo?
Oh man, it could be anybody. I don't know, Nev. What do you think, man?
I think it would. I think it needs to be because he's a cheeky fellow. I think it needs to be a Brit. I think it needs to be a Brit. I'm going to go. I'm going to go with because he. I mean, despite I think he's a good actor. I actually think that Martin Freeman could pull it off quite nicely.
I love that.
I think Martin Freeman could because here's the thing. I mean, Martin Freeman did a lot of stuff before he got Hollywood big, right? So I know him from like TV shows and stuff like that. So I know how wide a repertoire as an actor that he has because I saw him in all of the domestic TV shows before he got Hollywood big. So I think that he could put, because he could pull off, the scoundrel part of being able to skirt between, light and dark.
Yeah.
What about you?
How can I beat that? I was going to say like Danny DeVito. How tall is Hondo? Is he
Hondo would be relatively short.
But not short and fat like Danny DeVito. I'm just trying to think of his voice.
Danny DeVito.
I like Paul's reaction on that. I'm sorry, Paul. I didn't do you justice all that.
Pick an actor.
So not Danny DeVito, man. I don't know. Shoot. I like the British thing. I'm trying to think like maybe that guy from Lord of the Rings. I can't think of his name. He was one of the hobbits. I don't remember his name. So
I know the two British actors that you're talking about, yeah.
But
I know the two British actors you're talking about.
That's not a very good answer. I don't have another good answer for that.
I thought you'd have gone like with the typecast and said, "Oh, who's that actor that played Quark in Deep Space Nine? He was a bit of a scoundrel, wasn't he? And he wears full. He's an actor that knows how to work in full makeup. So the actor
that's another good one.
The actor that made the actor that played Principal Snyder on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I'll just agree with you.
Can't think of the actor's name off the top of my head. Anyway, okay, on to question 5. We got 2 more questions left. 5. Question for Bob. How hard is it getting a word in edgewise?
On the Skate podcast, it's very hard. I got these 2. I can never get one in. You see me. Every time I try to get in, they're always saying something. I'm just I love you guys. It's a 5 out of 10.
And the second question for Bob: how do you think your first co-hosting has gone? Have you enjoyed it?
I loved it. Also, I just want to say thank you to Paul. It's an honor. Neb, it's great hanging out with you. Honor being, even though I'm on here anyways with you guys, it's still awesome to be able to sit in the co-host seat and do it. So I love you both very dearly, and I appreciate everything you guys have done even before this. And and it's been awesome. Maybe a little quiet, but I was a little bit nervous coming into this. So I got big shoes to fill. So, but that's okay.
Excellent. Well, we're out of questions unless anybody else has got any more. Has anybody said? No, I'm not seeing anything in the feed. So we'll talk. So what have you got any? So have you got any plans for streaming this weekend or anything?
Man,
putting any content out or anything?
I've been busier than ever. I was out of work for 2 years, and I just recently got a job, so I've been balancing that. But every day I do Strike Force, Marvel Strike Force, and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes dailies. No matter what's going on, I do that. I also recently, thanks from Paul, I recently became a content creator for Summoner's Glory. It's a pretty fun game. I've been really getting into that, trying to stream that more often. You and I are trying to get on. Well, you're on it, but I'm trying to get on Rune of Magic with you here soon.
Yeah. I'm trying to get some people on Runes of Magic. I've convinced Stevie B. He's not in the chat at the moment, but I convinced Stevie B. So he's got an account. So he's going to hit me up once he's got used to the game, I hope, and then obviously you firing it up.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to stream it too. So
yeah,
it'd be fun.
I'm currently like gold farming like mad, so that I can buy some stuff, so we can get some stuff from the auction house for you, so that your characters don't totally suck when we do group attacks and stuff like that.
This weekend,
that's the plan, anyway.
I'll get there this weekend, I promise. I'll probably stream it too while I'm playing it.
Well, that's just it. My weekend is pretty chocked. I won't be sitting down at the PC at all this weekend. I'm off to help a friend with some yard work down south, down in Champagne, and I'm also going to hopefully do some painting and decorating for him. So I'm actually not going to be available all weekend. I'll be back Sunday evening sometime.
Okay.
I do believe, but if you find any time during the week, I am logged on every single day for at least a minimum of an hour. Sometimes I'm on for 3 hours, but the times I'm on for an hour, it's just to do dailies.
Right.
It's a free to play game with dailies in it. You want to get.
I can't wait. Yeah, I'm excited. Are you doing anything else besides that, man? Next week?
No, there's nothing. There is nothing else. Swugger. Obviously, there won't be a GAC this weekend. I'm going to do my GAC immediately after the show. So I will share my screen for that. So if you're coming to the after show, I'll be doing the GAC on my main account.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because I won't have the time to do it any GAC tomorrow, none. And then the third round will more than likely be on the Monday, because I probably won't be back until late Sunday. So that's me. But I'll still do GACs as per the usual through the week, and I'll definitely do some Runes of Magic. So that brings us very comfortably to the end of the show. Just shy by 2 minutes, so it'd be easy for Paul to edit. So
isn't there something needs to be said? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Normally Paul would say something to me at this point.
Hold on, I think something needs to be said.
Be nice to each other, damn it.
And Bones, push the button.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods! Close down the circuits! Evacuate
self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
6! What happened to 7?
Just kidding. 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. The Escape Podcast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out murder bears.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.